Hi YouTube, this is Care Bear. I am giving you my 5-week post-op update. Excuse me. Let me go ahead and start off with the YouTube burp and just get it out of the way. I want to first off say that I am at 30.5 pounds lost. So I'm really happy with that, and I've been maintaining that for like the last 3 days. Usually I like lose weight, then I maintain, and then lose weight, and maintain, lose weight. So, but I have to say I have not been exercising like I want to. I'm trying to find the time to walk more consistently because I have not been able to get to the gym lately. So, I'm just trying to walk and exercise when I can, just so that I make sure that I get that in, because I know it is important, and I know I've seen a difference from when I've been, actively going to the gym and then when I've stopped, and I definitely saw more of an increase in the weight loss, when I was exercising than when I'm not. So, I just wanted to kind of go over a couple of things that I've noticed in the last couple of weeks. And one of the things is that I'm going to be coming up to my 6-week post-op this next week, and I know that my diet is going to change, and my variety of things I'm going to eat is going to broaden a little bit. And I kind of started to have a little bit of anxiety, a little bit about like worrying about the fact that I'm not going to have the control, and like I still cook dinner for my family, and I can't tell you how many times I'm, making the dinner and setting it on the table, and then I have my little collection of different foods that I'm eating at the table. And there are times when I'm like, oh my gosh, I would die for a big bowl of spaghetti right now that smells and looks delicious, and they're all enjoying it, and here I am with, not spaghetti. And there's a part of me that's worried that once I'm able to eat that I'm not going to be, that my self-control is not going to be there. And I have to remind myself also that it's not only about making the right and wrong food choices for me. Like right now, it's not only about like not being able to have something, and even then, when my restrictions, are opened a little bit, so I'm able to have spaghetti sometime. It's not just going to be about whether I'm having it or not, but it is going to be about the size of the portions that I have. And so that's another thing that I have to kind of keep reminding me when I go into these thoughts of, I'm doing really well right now not having spaghetti because I can't have it. Or I'm doing really well not having a hot dog because I can't have it. But there's going to be a period of time coming that I will eventually be able to have that stuff. And that scares me for moments. I have moments of panic or fear in that. And then I have to remind myself that, I do have the ability to have those things, and I will have the ability to have those things and enjoy them, and it just is going to be in a smaller portion. And when I remind myself of that, then it's like, you know what, that's okay. My daughter got some Reese's Pieces the other day, and I had 2 Reese's Pieces, and it was like the biggest treat for me. All of a sudden it was like, you know what, I am totally happy with 2 tiny Reese's Pieces. And it felt good to know that I didn't feel like all of a sudden out of control, like, oh my gosh, this tastes doing really good, and I can't think of anything else right now except for having more Reese's Pieces. It was just like I had 2, they were spaced out over, a couple of minutes, so it wasn't even like I popped them both in my mouth and ate them, which I would have done before. It was like I savored them and I sucked on them, and I really, really enjoyed it the whole time. So those are some things that, the kind of the anxiety of worrying about it, and then, the realization of, that I am different, that it's not just a diet right now. It's not just a diet program that I'm on that's going to eventually allow me to go back to the way I'm eating. I know that that is possible. I know that there are people who have the surgery and who eventually do go back to their, the worst eating habits that they have. But I do recognize right now that because I have been given the gift of the pouch, that I have such a great opportunity to force myself to really portion down what I eat, and seeing that I can taste something and get that satisfaction from just a taste of something has really been positive for me as well. I do want to share I had a couple of, over probably the last 2 weeks, I think I've had 3 instances where I think that I have dumped, or I have felt like, I guess it's considered dumping when you've had too much of any kind of a food also, because it wasn't anything sweets or anything too fatty. Like, I had beans, refried beans, so maybe they were too fatty, but I had them on, I have had other things also that I wouldn't consider necessarily overly fatty for the amount of food that I had eaten. But I had refried beans, and they were really, really, really smooth refried beans. But I was taking them small little bites, and I use like baby spoons. And so I was using, just tiny, tiny bites, and I was like swishing it around my mouth and, making sure. My mom reminded me, she says, the longer the food stays in your mouth, the bigger of a jump start your, it's not your metabolism, but like the more a jump start of processing that food and breaking it down and stuff happens. And so you're kind of giving your body a jump start by keeping it in your mouth and making sure that it's mixed with saliva and enzymes and all that stuff. So I was really, I've really been trying to make sure to do that. And I was keeping track of, every bite. I was making sure that I did that and swallowing it really down. Well, I think what happened was because it was so smooth going down, this was another thing that I had done that I learned from as well. I just purchased one of those like pint refried beans, and so I just, instead of portioning it out into a tinier bowl and giving myself what I knew I could have, I just ate out of there knowing that I would get full, or knowing that I would recognize how much I had eaten. And I wasn't getting full, and I didn't feel like my pouch was getting tight or anything. And so finally I was like, okay, well, I've eaten like, a third of this, and I know that that's probably too much, so I'm going to stop. And then I stopped eating, and I never felt that full feeling at all. But all of a sudden, like, onset sweats, and like my heart was racing, and I felt really, really weak, like I just need to lay down. And that, like, kind of like a morning sickness, for those of you who've had babies, like the morning sickness, queasiness of the stomach feeling all at once. And I've had that a couple of times when I think that I've eaten too much, and even when I haven't felt full, I have felt those reactions. My body has reacted that way. So, I know that that's good. That will go back also to, when I start eating normally with my family and stuff, that I will remember that it's a negativity, that I don't want to experience, and that that reinforcement, that negative reinforcement, is really going to help, making sure that my portions do stay small and my choices are, smart. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the video now, and then I'm going to go ahead and do a second one of recent food finds that I wanted to share with you guys. Alrighty, I'll talk to you in a bit. Bye.